Hey, what's up, everyone? It was just breaking news that the Dow plunged over 1,800 points, and oil crashes as price wars start beginning. And they actually had to. They said it was just plunging so much. They claimed they had to stop the stock market for a moment, and they had to stop global trade for literally a certain period of time, as they said they expected to do. They had expected it, and they said they couldn't handle it anymore, and they had to stop it for a while. Now, the interesting thing is, people told me, several people, but there was so many people had told me things like this, that, oh, it was coming, it was coming, it was coming, it was coming, to the point where it felt like people were crying wolf. And they stated that it was happening. People kept telling me there was going to be a market crash. Could be big, could be little. That a financial collapse was coming in 2020, and I didn't know whether to actually, I don't know, I knew something was coming, I knew something was happening, but I didn't know whether it was going to be now or that was going to happen. Still don't. I mean, things can still rebound, I don't know, but I mean, something is up when you have the financial system collapse over a coronavirus. I mean, of course, people aren't traveling. Suddenly, people stop traveling. You don't go anywhere. Places are in gridlock. I mean, it comes to a halt, a standstill. But what do you think? What do you think about it? Do you think it was? Well, I don't want to speculate anything, but I mean, it's just. Of course, they had all those people get up there and smile as they were saying it. The Dow plunged as much as 2,000 points. They say it would actually plunge more. Oil crashes, price wars are erupting, and the coronavirus spreads. Seems like everything that could happen is happening right now. Disasters happening worldwide. There's so much economic damage. I mean, there's so much economic cost from the damage of disasters. All of that coupled together, they claim, caused the stock market to plunge. U.S. equity markets were sharply lower Monday morning after an oil price war suddenly broke out between Saudi Arabia and Russia, and the new coronavirus now shows signs of spreading. So suddenly they claim an oil war, price war broke out between Saudi Arabia and Russia, at the same time as the Dow has been plunging. The Dow, the Nasdaq, everything has gone down. And people have been telling me that was coming, but I didn't really. I began to just kind of, I guess, ignore it. I know that one person was telling me that there's going to be. They actually did tell me in emails, and other people were telling me that this year that the markets were going to collapse soon, and you won't be able to get anything. They said stock up. But we've been hearing this for so long that it became just redundant. And I know we are in a spiritual ascension at the same time, but then you've also got all these things happening in the physical realm that set you back. But, I mean, I was also told that by someone else that there would be that the grid might go down within a couple of years. I don't know that for sure, obviously, but like 2022 to 23, that's what they were telling me. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But obviously, what this person had told me, with as far as the market is beginning to happen, the stock market sell-off, they said, comes. They actually had to halt the stock market and shut it down, put it on halt, put world trade on halt this morning for a little while, because they said the production dispute between OPEC members led by Saudi Arabia and Russia sent West Texas Intermediate crude oil, the United States benchmark, plunging by as much as 33.8%, the most since the outbreak of the 1991 Persian Gulf War, to a low 1991 now. That's a while back. I mean, right before I was, that's 3 years before I was born, to a low of $27.34 a barrel overnight in overnight trading. So it went from, I mean, it went down that much. After a small rebound, WTI was trading down 21.4% at $32.42 a barrel. Oil majors, including ExxonMobil, Chevron, and BP, were then sharply lower, and they claimed that they were service providers. Their prices dropped, so they're having an oil price war, basically. These were the exchanges that took place. All of these companies here, their treasuries and percentages went up and down, up and down. And the drop in the treasury happened, yields companies and Federal Reserve will then cut tax rates by 100 basis points at its March 18th meeting, lowering its key interest rate to a range between 0 and 25 basis points. Sounds to me like the economy's been doing so good that they just decided to ruin it, to me. Everything's been doing so good. There's been so much trade. The market's been doing okay. Stock market was way up. So they found a way to... Anyway, you know how it goes with political crap. But the expectation of the oversized rate cut, is putting pressure on financials, which typically make 50% to 75% of their net revenue from the spread between the interest paid to depositors and interest charged to borrowers. Lower rates means the banks will then make less per loan, and that's caused problem. And J.P. Morgan, Chase, Bank of America, and Truist were all tumbling this morning. All the major banks in the United States and worldwide were tumbling this morning. Meanwhile, Wells Fargo was in focus after board chair Betsy Duke resigned. Obviously, Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos knew all of this, or he would not have pulled his stock money out. It's all planned. And then in Europe, Italy's stocks were down, MIB, because of the COVID-19. They wanted a prevention of, they said the country decided, the government put 16 million people in the northern region of the country on lockdown, gridlock. You couldn't move, couldn't leave their houses. They couldn't go to work, couldn't go to school, could not leave their houses, period. Their place of residency, to prevent that COVID-19 spread. Elsewhere in the region, they claim France's was lowered by 8%. Germany was lowered. Britain's FTSE were both off 7.9%. The entire world's stocks, not just the main stocks, but the entire world's stocks went down last night and this morning. Overnight, Japan's Nikkei paced the decline in Asia after the country's government lowered its fourth quarter gross domestic product. To an annual drop of 7.1%, down from 6.3%. Taking inflation into account, the drop was 1.8% on seasonably adjusted quarterly basis. Meanwhile, China's trade surplus swung to a $7.1 billion deficit, the first time since March 2018. In the first 2 months of the year, China's Shanghai Composite fell 3%, and Hong's Hang Seng shed 4.2%. Basically, long story short, the entire markets went down. The market declined this morning. Every single stock worldwide went down because of trade wars and stock wars and the oil war between Russia and the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. And they had to shut down the stock market because it became too chaotic, and then they restarted it, and all the trade that stopped during that time, it went crazy. So they said the oil and gas situation, time for alarm has arrived. Stocks plunged in oil prices after Saudi Arabia stunned the world with massive discounts on their oil. So who knows? They claim that this virus will knock out the gross